So if you were to tell it to us, without the slides, how would you describe it?
No, thank you, Chair. I'll do it, and I'll ask my colleagues to finalize it. What happened is that the municipality went out on a tender in order to appoint the service provider to provide them with a strategic with the establishment of the project management office. And during that process, they went through tender, and there were several companies or service providers that tendered, and out of that, they managed to choose one service provider, which is Velisa. Then it was a consortium, and that consortium consisted of 3 companies. I'm trying to check their names here. And those 3 companies, they signed an SLA with the municipality. And initially, when the municipality went out on a tender, I think the budget for the tender was 20 million. But through the bids which was submitted, the consortium quoted 70.2 million, even though they were not the lowest in terms of the tender, but they end up being appointed. So that's what happened. So during the process on terms of delivery, there were a lot of invoices that came through this SLA, which was signed with this consortium, of which some of the work which they was paid was not for in relation to the SLA. Like, for example, the boxing tournament that took place, the municipality told the hosting to submit invoice to the consortium. Then the consortium managed to get the invoice via the SLA that they had with the municipality to the municipality. So that's how it was. Like the SLA that they had with this consortium was a vehicle for them to able to use it in order to get all the services which were not even part and parcel of the scope of this tender, where they've paid a lot of money to it. And based on the investigation, we found irregularity in the tender process, which was followed, whereby we also found a corruption where one official received money from the service provider, and they also bought a car for one official, of which we could see that this really was clear a vehicle which was used for the municipal official so that they can able to get money out of the municipality using the so-called establishment of the project management office. I'm not sure. I'll ask my colleagues to add if I've left anything.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. Yes, Ayavelisa Consortium was made of Ayavelisa Consulting, Lorisho at 23%, and V3 Engineers at 21%. You will notice in our presentation, we presented that V3 only got 112,000 out of the 70 million, and you can calculate where is the 23%. Now, they only attended one meeting, the first introduction meeting with the municipality. That's the only thing they have done. Yet, if you look at the schedule of items that were covered in the SLA, there's a lot of engineering work that they needed to be consulting on, but they were only just to be there to make sure that the tender is won. Now, Ayavelsa Consortium, we said we're not the cheapest. Out of the 10 tenders bids that were received, they went into functionality evaluation. There were 70 million, number 5 was 80 million, number 6 was 85 million, but there's a number 3 who was 64 million, but was overlooked. Now, so what then they done? Then there's a Lazola Media. Lazola Media is owned by a person who's employed by Ayavelisa Consulting, whose job was to make sure that all the events, including the boxing and any other events, even beauty pageants, will be organized using Lazola Media. Now, what Lazola Media would do, they would not follow the SCM processes of the municipality because it was now a third party. So you'll find that around 19 million was used for events organized by this Lazola, who were not required to follow. Actually, we are seeking legal opinion as to whether, if now the municipality signs a contract with our Velisa consortium, which processes are they supposed to follow? Should they follow the SM processes of the municipality, or they are now exempt from following those processes because they now subcontract to Lazola Media, and Lazola Media will get friends and families, including officials of the municipality, to render services in terms of under the events management. So that's one of the findings that we have. And then also you find now there's also a 10%. So Lazola Media is, you could say, is being owned by Ayavelsa Consortium because the guy is employed full-time by Ayavelsa Consortium. And yet, each and every invoice that comes back from whatever services that Lazola Media would do, they will then, before they submit to the municipality, they will add a 10% management fee. On top of the fees that they're supposed to be getting, but on each and every invoice, they will add 10%, including the boxing that happened even before. Now, we do have names of the people who were giving instructions, but we did not want to divulge names of those people because they have not even appeared in court, because we've referred matters against them to the NPA. So that's exactly what was going on there. And then you have one employee of Ayavelsa Consulting who was then taken to the office of the MM to work full-time as an executive assistant. Yet the recommendation by BAC was that let's appoint this company on a call-down basis. Let them be there, but when we need something, we consult them. But then the contract, apparently, they then worked on them as if they were, it was a normal consulting at 70 million. As Mr. Lacheto said, remember, the original estimate was 20 million. Then it is the erratum that somehow changed. The erratum only changed the date, didn't change the 80-20 and the 90-10. But at the evaluation, they decided then to use the 90-10, which was not part of the erratum. Now, also some companies who were there in the briefing session did not see the erratum on the e-portal. An employee was given instruction to advertise, to publish the erratum into e-portal, e-tender portal, but he didn't do it. When we asked, he couldn't give us a good explanation as to why. So there will be companies now who would have missed the erratum extending to 5 of December. As much as we say, it was 80-20, the erratum never mentioned about 80-10. But when they came back, now Ayavelsa is coming at 70 million. And the exact amount is the exact amount that Ayavelsa got, is the same amount that now the tender was, the contract was issued under. So I'm not sure if, Chair, I've tried to summarize in terms of the who's connected to who. Yeah.
That's very helpful. So, and I think at this stage we should give the members opportunity to ask questions just on this, so that we establish a sort of. So if I were to summarize what you are describing to the committee, is to say they wanted to outsource the program management office, basically, right? For what purpose? To improve service delivery, or what was the stated purpose, if I may ask, before I proceed?
The main reason, Chair, was, as we say, in that document that we got, though unsigned, there has been a visit, apparently, of the president in that December. And out of that, then service delivery issues were identified. So in a drive or in a desire to improve service delivery and also obtain clean audits, they then felt that for them to be able to achieve that, they needed to have this project management service that will be able to manage all the key
I get it.
programs of the municipality.
Thank you. So anyway, for some reason, they felt they didn't have the capacity internally to establish that office. They go out on tender, and they get in the end about 10 bids or so, and they take bid number 4, whatever the number was, but they were certainly not the cheapest in terms of what the bids were. They initially estimated the cost at 20 million, but as we've seen in the presentation, it escalated. Now, during the course of executing, and I'm kind of skipping past the sort of the specific paperwork that needed to be signed, council resolutions, and all of these things that were not done, it appears that this tender became a vehicle for bypassing municipal processes, firstly, procurement and so on. The second thing is that the cost escalated far beyond the 20 million. Thirdly, that to the extent that anyone needed something done which certain officials approved, they would simply be told to do it. That's what it appears. They would do it and then submit a tender to an invoice to Aya Velisa, which would be then paid. Number 4, they placed an employee of Aya Velisa inside the municipality. It would appear to me, and please say if I'm reading this wrong, it would appear that the purpose of doing that was to make sure that all of this bypassing basically goes through onto basically leave the goal open for someone to score money in that way. And you have identified several entities, individuals and so on that used this channel basically, which is Aya Velisa, in order to make sure that they secure payments in the end. And what you have done is you've identified those entities and individuals. You've recommended disciplinary actions. You've also referred some to the National Prosecuting Authority. So that's my summary of my understanding. Would that be correct? As I describe it. Okay, thank you. So I don't want us to go to another municipality and then another one without giving the members an opportunity to ask, so that we can just work through all of this stuff and we know that we've got an understanding and then move on. So members, I'm going to start with you, Honorable Matlala, and go that way. And then on the next round, we'll come back this way. Over to you.
Thank you, and greetings, colleagues. Just 2 clarity questions, I think. One is on the error time. So it was not only amending the date, it was also amending the value of the contract. Did I hear that correct? That would be the first one, because I think initially I had heard that it was amending the date, but I got to understand later on that as if it was also amending the value of the contract from the 20 to about 70 something, even though it was not published in other spaces. I just want clarity on that. Then number 2, there is a point where the SIU had instructed the municipality to not pay about 13 million, and we are learning that about 70 has been paid. So it means that instruction was disregarded after having been issued to say, no, don't proceed paying so much of an amount. I just want also to understand that part. And if obviously those who were given instruction to not process the payment, which would have been the municipal manager or whoever, if they are also part of the then referrals for consequence management. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Kubeka.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings again to the SIU team. The long and short of this report basically is that this is just pure corruption, absolute corruption at the highest level. Again, to the SIU team, well done, guys, for doing a stellar job once again. I like the fact that the SIU team, they leave no stones unturned. Well done on that one. I'm not sure if there's really much to ask here. I think the biggest question that I have is I just want to know, which official was this that actually got a car purchased for them by the service providers? In what capacity is that official in the municipality? And the next one is, since not all bid specification committee members had appointment letters, how was that tender allowed to continue? Is that not irregular? And then I think you explained what Lazola Media was doing. So I think for now, I'd like to hold it there, Chair. Thank you.
So you need to stick to the Municipal Finance Management Act. And all along here, they probably thought they could run everything into that, you know, from the boxing, from the beauty contests. I mean, I'm from the Eastern Cape. There's a whole lot of things here that they've tried to bypass the red tape of the Municipal Finance Management Act. So the thing is, out of all of this, was there actually any work done? And did it cover, that was according to the SLA. But this is how you probably find in many of the municipalities trying to bypass, which is unacceptable and not according to the MFMA. So that's what I want to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Honorable Nilmay. Honorable Maduna, this is your territory, these sorts of things.
No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I'm failing to understand a whole lot of things when I'm looking at this. Good morning to you, Chair, members of the SIU, and well done for a job well done. I imagine it, surely it was not easy to pin together all this creativity and this much movement, because it's confusing to me even when you read it to me. You see, Chair, I think perhaps the report should read like the state of the OR Tambo Municipality state of capture.
Yes.
I think that's how this report must read. Because why I'm saying that, after they've been appointed, they even send an executive assistant to the office of the mayor. Indeed, this was a state of capture in the municipality. No, I think, Chair, there are a number of things that I note from this report. One, there was no council resolution to establish this particular strategic programs and project management unit. Now it brings me to the question that Honorable Neil asked, perhaps through you, Chair. I think the SIU must start. Do the municipality before this establishment, did it have a project management unit? Because I believe if we were to obtain clean audit, it does not only revolve around this. So I think the first question that we must ask, did the municipality, before the establishment of this office, that to me it appears like they are outsourced, did they have their own internal project management unit? As per, I think there's one particular regulation that establishes in terms of the municipal contest. Chair, there's a lot that is wrong here. I think that I would have noticed. Okay, the evaluation one, the appointment of some other members, appointment letters were not there, of which they were not even supposed to sit in that evaluation. Two, I know that the tender closing register was not found. And now I'm questioning myself, because before you even evaluate a tender, that is step number one. You need to get that register. Check vis-a-vis the documents that you have in you to verify that all these people submitted their tenders in time. That's where everything begins. That is step number one. Before you even verify a tender, you can't verify a tender without a tender closing register. Because how do you then know that when the tender was closed, who would have put their tender, which one was late, and so on and so on? So that is step step number one. So that is why I'm saying the entire process, perhaps SIU, when you found out that they did not have this register, I think you would have already expressed an opinion that that evaluation was irregular, all of it, because that's step number one when we're evaluating this thing. There are a whole lot of things that are wrong in here, and I would not want to even go into them. Their functionality, the way they disqualify people and so on. I think I've seen some of these things before. But my question to the SIU, so the 80-20 and the 90-10, it's in regard to the pricing. I think when you pass a particular a threshold, it becomes 90-10. When you just a little bit of clarity there, if that is what you refer to, because I just want to capture it proper. Now, I wanted as well to check, out of the 23% from that one, 25% from that one in this current term, did the municipality achieve a value for money in what it would have provided the initial original scope of the tender? And the SLA of the municipality, I see that the MM and the bid and the bid adjudication, because they are the final committee that would give the recommendation to the municipal manager for appointments to a particular amount. I see that them on them as well did not agree. The other ones, they said the appointment must be according to the tender amount. The other one said it must be on call down and appointed on those bases. So I just want to check the minutes are there saying something else, appointment letter is saying something else. I mean, this is the same thing, because I'm thinking the amateur that would have been propelling this documentation, because, you know, do they have audit committee and internal audit in the municipality? Or did they at that particular time? And I think lastly, Chair, I want to check in their scope now, these ones of boxing and where do they enter? How do they enter in this LSA? Are they covered in the service level agreement that the municipality have with this contempt? How does it enter? Because I want to locate exactly how this Lazola, which seems to be the champion in this corruption, enters. No, and I think that was that for me. But it's a really bad. It's a really bad. And the 10% fee management, it's really wrong. And you see, Chair, I think I might have said this as I conclude. I might have said this before. You see, in South Africa, the public believe that politicians are corrupt. However, I say it again. Politicians, when they get to office, they do not even understand how you appoint a particular tender. Politicians are corrupted by officials. And politicians do not even receive much of these proceedings from corruption. Because as you can see in this particular tender, here it was the work of the officials that were exchanging money in between each other. That is why one of them was bought a car. And I believe that me and you, SIU, share the view that the one that they bought a car and the one of 120,000 were just those who were enablers. Those who were champions of this corruption are those of black bags money. Their money, they were not bought anything. Those ones are fraudsters. They are kingpins. They know that money of corruption must come in bags and all that thing. You will never find them here. I think we must say well done to SIU. Let us persuade them. They must be arrested in orange envelopes. Thank you.
Orange overalls, not envelopes. Honorable Skosan.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair. And greetings to all honorable members, the SIU and all other stakeholders present. Yeah, no, it's quite shocking, Honorable Chair, and we must applaud the SIU for the work that they've done so far. Yeah, this is a pure capture of a municipality. There's nothing much that we can say. If a tender which has a budget of about 20 million set aside for it it can rise from 20 to 70. A person who have scored it at 70 and then is the one that is being given a tender. When the budget that is there, it's only 20 million. So there are quite a number of things that are wrong with this whole thing. But one question here, I see you are, not unless I miss it, because in all your slides, when you are speaking about the bid specifications committee only, I've never seen where we are speaking about the bid evaluation committee and the bid adjudication committee. Because like Honorable Matuna was indicating, because the last committee that makes the final recommendation to the accounting officer is the bid adjudication officer, because the bid specification committee is the first committee that has the specification, issue tender and what. And then between there will be a bid evaluation that will do the evaluation, but the last committee is the bid adjudication that will do the final adjudication and hand over to the accounting officer. So I don't see where you are talking about this other two committee, not unless I've missed it. Yeah, I see there's a confusion between the issue of a bid price versus the call down basis. I mean, this shouldn't be happening because a call down basis is something different and a bid pricing is something different. You can't have the two in the same service level agreement. When a person is appointed on a bid price, but then also is being subjected to a call down basis. So this is pure corruption, Honorable Chair. And I want to understand the role of this executive assistant who was put in the office of the MM from Aya Velisa. What was the role of this person? Was he or she there to assist the MM with municipal functions, or was he or she there to do the work of the Aya Velisa, but doing it in the office of the municipal manager? And the issue of Lazola Media, I see that it was paid about 13 million. And in the whole thing, it would look like this Lazola was more of a subcontractor, though its role was sketchy, but it was more of a subcontractor. But then it would look like it was paid direct by the municipality, if I'm not wrong. I just wanted clarity there as to whether was it paid direct by the municipality or it was paid by the Aya Velisa. And then finally, I think I saw where you were saying you have there was officials where they were not, what I can say, officials were, they were not feeling free to come and give evidence to the SIU. And then I think you were indicating that you escalated the matter to the executive mayor. I just want to find out as to, since that you escalated this matter to the executive mayor, is there any improvement? After that, were any improvements that officials were able to come and cooperate and give the necessary evidence? And from your investigation, to what extent was the executive mayor informed about all these things? Because the executive mayor also has got a responsibility as the political head elected by council to play oversight on the executive on behalf of the council as the executive. So I'm just wondering as to where was the executive mayor when all these things were happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Skosana. Honorable Atkinson.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much to the members of the SIU for all your hard work. One of the great sadnesses of governance in South Africa has been the collapse of the smaller municipalities. And this really goes to the heart of the problem, is corrupt tenders such as this. So what we've seen basically is a misspending on an industrial scale across South Africa. And it's created a massive headache for our government as to what to do, basically, to get proper service delivery to our people. And the saddest thing is that the Tambo Municipality probably has one of the higher percentages of what we could term poor people. And effectively, you've got a group of greedy people here who've decided to feed on the money that comes into the municipality. Just one or two questions I want to ask about this particular issue. The Ivisha Consulting, have we done an investigation into who sits behind the business, the people involved, the directors or the people behind it? Because, I mean, it does all seem very in-house by the fact that they're employing family and friends and people in the municipality. But it'd be quite good to know who the people are that are behind it. And do they have any other skills? And I mean, have they done this for any other municipalities? Do they have any experience in the field? Because I mean, if the municipality seem to think that they could help them get a clean audit, have they managed to do it anywhere else? Or is this really just an entity that's been set up specifically to try and milk the OR Tambo municipality? Yeah, I think I just would like to get a little bit of more information about the company and just wonder what kind of investigation you've done on them, basically. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. May I please hand over to the SIU team?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Member. I'll give my colleagues to answer the question. It will come in. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members. I will try to deal with the questions. The issue of the erratum, remember we said the erratum was just to change the date from the 17th of November to the 5th of December. It had nothing to do with the tender value. As we say, there was no other bid spec committee that met to say now estimate is going to be around 70 million. In terms of the 13 million payment, what we have done, once we started our investigation, as soon as we discovered that there's something wrong with the tender, with the whole procurement process, we would normally go and say, let's cancel the tender and set it aside. But now we discovered at the time that there's still 13 million that was not yet paid. And then we wrote to the municipality to ask them, please don't continue to pay this money because we found some problems with this contract. And the municipality agreed with us that they won't pay the money. But when we conducted our bank analysis, and then we found that they've paid over 70 million. So even that 13 million, which we are going to find out from them as to why did they continue to pay that, is part of the referrals that we've made against the municipality. In terms of which official is driving the car, for now, as we say, we do know which car is it. It's a Mercedes-Benz. But we're still finding out as to exactly who is driving the car, because we still have to go into the system and check who might have used that car, maybe to claim or whatever. But for now, we're unable to pinpoint as to exactly who is driving the car. It could be an official, it could be somebody else, it could even be a politician. How was the tender allowed since the payment not of all the letters? Unfortunately, when we've interviewed a number of people there, including those who we have not seen their appointment letters, and they can't give us plausible reasons as to why their appointment letters are not there to sit in those committees. It is that reason that SIU is now going to court to set aside that contract. So the contract was invalid in that it was awarded irregularly. Are there any arrests? As I say, we have referred matters to the NPA. When we started the investigation, there was already a case number that the DPCI was working on. We've engaged with the DPCI officials in Amtata, where we wanted to work together with them. But when we found that they have not done much stride on the case, so it now depends on the matters that we have referred to them. We can follow up in terms of those. I think there are 2 case numbers, but we have not heard of any arrests, but we do have case numbers on 2 of the referrals that we have submitted. Remember, on the issue of, I'm dealing with the issue of whether 80-20, will it be, do they have to take the cheaper one? We made a presentation that one company that had functionality in their bid document were scored 0 by 2 officials. And these 2 officials who scored this company 0, and yet in their bid document, they do have that information, but yet they were scored 0. And the same 2 officials are the 2 of those that we have referred against them. Because what they have done strategically is that after the functionality, those 6, Ayavelisa became the only bidder that was scored full points, and therefore they were the only one that got above 80% or 80 points, because that one was disqualified. And remember, this one was disqualified, was 64 million, and Ayavelisa was 70 million. But because now Ayavelisa had been scored on that function, on that, I just forgot what it is. But now this one would have scored more if they were given their rightful points for that, but they were given a 0. So if they were given their points, they would have been 85 or even 82 above Ayavelisa. So I think strategically, they tried to make sure this company does not get those points and Ayavelisa gets, so that Ayavelisa gets over 80 points. In terms of the disciplinary processes, we've recently met the municipality, the Troika there, Mayor, MM, and the Speaker, when we were introducing the new proclamation. That is where now there were questions asked about the disciplinary referrals that we have referred to them. We have since invited them to invite us so that we can explain our findings. So somehow there was some misunderstanding as to our referrals. When we refer the matters to them, we refer the matters to them together with a box of evidence upon which we're basing our referral. But they have not yet, they had not before our meeting invited us so that we can explain, because somehow they didn't understand. So after the meeting we had, which was on the 29th of September in Amtata, we are then going to sit down with them and explain what we mean when we say you can make those kind of disease processes. Unfortunately for the disease, we cannot, our hands become tied a little bit in that we can't force them to charge any members, but we can assist them in terms of explaining what our referrals is about. How much work was done under the contract? Honestly, we can't really put value into it, but from the spreadsheet that we have, we can for now say around 18 million out of the 70 million, but I can't vouch for sure, because even in that 18 million, you still find items that are written events management. So there's few items where you will find it's engineering and this and this and this and that. But for now, from the spreadsheets that we have where we've separated, we could at least for now say around 18 million. Did the municipality have PMU before SPPO? Unfortunately, Honorable Member, I can't really respond to that. I am not sure if they did have. I'm assuming that they would have, but we can come back with an answer as to whether they had that PMU before this contract. The tender closing register. What we've done, obviously, we would want to see. Our presentation is specific to say, according to the minutes of the BEC, there were 10 bids, and we wanted to see the 10 bids. We wanted to see the tender closing register. We wanted to see who had submitted. We went to the municipality to identify who were the officials. Apparently, the tender box normally is outside, but in this case, tender box was removed from outside into a certain office. So we want to say who are the persons or the officials responsible for closing of the tender and signing of that register, which we did not get. Now that is where now the threat to members comes in. Because when we were there, as we were in the passage with the 2 officials, who was going to show us the tender office where the tender was closed, a manager of these 2 officials was standing at the corner, and when they saw the manager, they couldn't cooperate any further. But that manager is one of those that we have referred to see against. So we could not get the tender register. We cannot even identify who are the officials that closed the tender at the time. Did the municipality get the value for money? I think I've responded to that. The issue of the call down basis, a question was asked about the BSc, BEC. I think we've reported on the BSc, we've reported on the BEC, because remember that's where the evaluation was done, and the BEC then recommended, let's appoint them on a 70 million. Then the BAC disagreed with the BEC and said, no, let's rather contract them on a call-down basis. And that recommendation was given to the that don't appoint them on a tender price, appoint them on a call-down basis, but the contract that was signed by the was on a tender price. Unfortunately, Chair, here, the person who was the that's one of the difficulties that we had, is that the has since deceased in 2020. So we cannot get all the questions. And as you would know, everybody will send us to the deceased person where we cannot get answers. The boxing events and other events were not part of the. We do have a consortium agreement. We do have the breakdown of the services that make the 70 million, and the boxing is not there. The boxing and the historical debts were just items that they felt they can just put under the SLA, please process the payment, which I think that is the reason why they then appointed that executive assistant. That executive assistant was not there to assist the she was there to make sure that all the processes are relating to Ayavelisa are processed properly. So she was there representing Ayavelisa, but acting also as an executive assistant to the municipal manager. And the budget, we've reported in our slides that they said the budget will come from the office of the but the budget vote that we got, when we look at the budget vote actually did not belong to the it belonged to the security department. So, meaning there was actually no budget for this. Whether there were environment processes where they had to take that budget from the security to the we don't have sight of that information. As we say, we did not get any council resolutions to decide on whether this must continue. We looked at the ITP from the 2016-2017, where we're going to find there is just one mention of project management, but there is no mention in the ITP document that talks to this SPPMO office. Lazola Media was paid direct by the municipality. Remember, the invoices will be processed via Ayavelsa Consortium, via the lady who's in the office, and they will get paid. We are following up on the, obviously we will do your CIPC reports and get ITC reports and get who's behind Ayavelisa. We do know that, but we want to go beyond that, where we look at the beneficiation, who had really benefited. Would it be Ayavelisa directors, or will it be somebody that we do not know? Possibly there are many people that we do not know. Some, unfortunately, some become very clever that they will use the orange envelopes, honorable person. Brown envelopes. In terms of the role of the mayor, one other challenge that we had when we were doing this investigation is that there was a time the municipality was destabilized. There was instability in the municipality. There was a time you had 2 2 speakers. There was that period. So there's been a revolving chairs in terms of the mayors. Today this mayor is the tomorrow the mayor. So, but we in our report we are able to pinpoint as to who was the mayor at the time this has happened. But the mayor that we are dealing with now is not the mayor that was present at the time, since there were these revolving chairs. Today, one of our suspects was the and tomorrow is the CFO. Then when you go look for documents, there were times, Chairperson, when we would write a letter to the municipality, because the last time the was Mike Goya. We'll address to Mike Goya, but when we send the letter, we find it's no longer Mike Goya, it's Leonard Lecheto. They will tell you, no, go rewrite a letter and address it to the right person, even though the letter is addressed to the office. So But we will definitely, in our presidential report, be able to tell exactly what role did the mayor play in terms of the oversight role. As we know, the SIU does put specific emphasis on the oversight role of the politicians in what happens in any of the state institutions. Yeah, I think I've tried to answer most of the questions, but I'll allow my boss to maybe make final comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Chair. I know that I was outside, but I was watching from the screen. I wanted to ask a simple question: are these recommendations binding? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The recommendation of SIU currently, as we know, that they've not yet been challenged to the extent that they've been taken to court, well, like the public protector, where they've been pronounced as being binding. So for now, we do make recommendation, but we applaud to the accounting officer that they need to implement in the interest of good governance. But as it is, there's no way where it's indicated whether they are binding or not. Yeah. So, Chair, I just wanted to indicate to my colleague that there was a question to say, did the consortium have the necessary skill to do the work that they needed to do? Maybe if you can answer that question.
Oh yes, the company is not a special purpose company. It's been in existence. They do have experience. So I think they have done some work elsewhere. They do have experience. As much as they had to go on a consortium because the V3 were for engineering services, the Lorry Shore were mostly accountants, and then you will have them as the project management. So they did have experience. Thanks.
That's it.
Thank you. So, members, we will on exactly the same issues that we're canvassing today hear from the Auditor General next week, and that's going to complete the picture for the committee. We might actually just need, and this is the idea, that we then decide as a committee who we call in here to account for for this, because it's clear that there appears to be a pattern of behavior and a systemic failure. I'd be very surprised if this is the only instance where this kind of thing happens in the municipality, especially when it happens right at the top. There was a time when there were effectively two administrations in Tambo, and eventually the government, the national, I think the provincial government had to intervene so that service delivery could happen at least at a minimum. Otherwise, there was a time when there were just very little by way of sort of a solid chain of accountability through the normal course.